Hello, and welcome to Internet Explorer. At one point in time, this browser was the most popular and successful way to browse the internet. With its iconic blue E and glowing ring, it's strange to think that this browser has reached its end. But before we talk about how Internet Explorer disappeared, we have to understand how it became the most successful browser in history. Hi, welcome to the Stagnation channel, and today we'll be telling you the story of how Internet Explorer became the biggest to now becoming the worst internet browser in the world. It is the year 1989, and while people started having their boomboxes and terrible haircuts, there was a man making something revolutionary for the next generation. His name was Tim Berners-Lee, and he was an English computer science teacher and opened to the public the World Wide Web in 1993. And it made a new way to connect with web servers that can be accessed by web browsers. And there was a browser coming up the scene that was becoming huge every second. And that web browser was Netscape Navigator. See, unlike these crappy browsers, Netscape Navigator made you feel that your web browser was fast. By gimmicks like making the image load faster than the page, this made the customers trust Netscape Navigator and made them seem more reliable for the price of $50. And this quickly became the most dominant browser at the time, and in 1995 reached a peak of 70 to 90% of the market, until a little website came that was going to change that and leave a mark in the history of browsers forever. So again, it is 1995 and people were installing Windows new software. At the time, it was Windows 95, and a month later, Windows released Internet Explorer in addition on a package plus for Windows 95. And from here, our friend Internet Explorer is still crappy. See, Netscape Navigator was still the preferred browser, and thanks to its clean UI and brand trust, Internet Explorer popping up was nothing big to make a hole in the market yet, especially if it was $50. So Microsoft was thinking, what was the best way to get Internet Explorer to become the most successful browser in history? And it came to these three things and began the first browser war. Number 1, accessibility. Microsoft at the time operating system was preferably used by 85 to 90% of the market. In addition, when Windows 95 came out on August 24, 1995, it took 50% of the market by the late 1990s. And for a while, people used Netscape Navigator to browse on Windows with 80 to 90%. Knowing this, they now have an advantage to take over, and combined it with their second way to succeed. Pricing. You see, Internet Explorer and Netscape Navigator were both $50, even though Explorer was straight dog doo-doo by far. So they decided to give it more of a chance of exposure by making it, drumroll please, for free. And this was a step for them, as they made their browser come to 30% of the market, just because of that change of $50 to now becoming free. And last but not least, their final part of success was deals and plans. Apple was not doing so good at the time and was in deep trouble. Their product, the Mac, wasn't reaching what they hoped for, and it looks like they was about to reach their end. So Microsoft made a deal with them to put Internet Explorer and other Microsoft stuff in their Mac system, and they agreed to do so. So now Internet Explorer was now in Mac as well. And computers manufacturers that wanted Microsoft on their computers were forced to put Internet Explorer on it. And as bad as that sounds, it made Internet Explorer more accessible and also more controversial. It even ended up with them having a lawsuit in their hands that really did nothing. And with all this time, Netscape Navigator has now become small and started to crumble. Even as a last-ditch effort, they made their browser free, which only made their browser crumble even faster and eventually lead to their death. And now, Internet Explorer, the underdog, is now the king of the internet, with the browser share reaching 90 to 96% as a peak. And what do Internet Explorer do next? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing! You see, after Internet Explorer have got this new fame, Microsoft did not want to invest or really improve Internet Explorer afterwards. And when time passes, Internet Explorer started to become outdated, but there was not any browser to come and bother them. Until, do you remember Netscape Navigator, the same one that lost to Internet Explorer in the first browser war? Well, when they died, they made the browser code free for people to edit, and so edit they did. And they made a new browser called Mozilla Fox, and it released November 2nd, 2004. It was free, making it a competitor for Internet Explorer, especially since the browser wasn't up to date, since they didn't have real competition at the time. And if things couldn't get worse, Google made their own default browser, called Google Chrome, which officially released December 11, 2008. And Google Chrome was built off this thing called Chromium. It was basically the base layer of the browser and future browsers. I will get into that in a second. But also it was free, which means things that made Internet Explorer big will no longer have any effect on the second browser war. And now there's a lot of competition, and each one were excelling except for Internet Explorer. And over time, Internet Explorer market share started to decrease. And even when they tried to make it more modern and fix it, it was already too late, because in 2012, Google Chrome became bigger than Internet Explorer. And the browser market, later on Internet Explorer, became so small, it has reached now 0.35% of the market. This is the story of how you can have it all, but you can lose it all in the same second, just because you weren't consistent. So Microsoft decided to kill Internet Explorer in 2022. However, even though Internet Explorer is dead, Microsoft didn't leave with nothing, because in 2017, Microsoft Edge was made available for iOS and Android. But later on, it was announced that it would completely rebuild Edge as a Chromium-based web browser in 2018. Then Microsoft Edge made it official in January 15, 2020. This browser was available in Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8.1, Mac OS, and Linux. And by 2020, Edge was used by 11% of PCs worldwide. It is now the third most popular browser in the world as of 2023. It is behind Safari and Chrome. And in January 2025, Edge became the second most popular browser in PC web browsing. Many people love it, even preferring it over Google Chrome or Safari, including myself. And now the question is, will Microsoft Edge reach its full potential and make Microsoft number one again? Or will Google Chrome continue to just dominate the web browser war? And another question, will there ever be a third browser war? I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments. This is Zappalation, and I'm out.